Welcome back, everybody, to the channel. Today we have our guest, Juan Pablo. Applause, applause. Pew, pew, pew. Wah, wah, wah. What's that like sound? So this week, as you can see, we are doing The Thing by John Carpenter. Oh yeah. Super good movie.
Great movie.
Seen it because there are spoilers ahead, which you should have seen it by now because it came out in like 1982. So get on it. There was also like one that came out in 2011. I heard that one was really bad. I haven't seen it, but check out this one instead because it's better in every way.
In every way. I haven't seen the 2011 one.
No,
But,
no, it has what's that one girl from
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Is that what her name is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah,
She's great. She's a great actress.
yeah, I like her. But I heard the movie was trash, so I've been steering clear of it. But I do want to check it out.
I want to check it out just because it's supposed to be a prequel to The Thing.
So it's probably like the Norwegian base.
I don't know. That's the only one way to find out.
Cool. I want to. Now that makes me want to check it out even more. But I know that they probably did like some CGI instead of the practical effects, so that probably. Quick little synopsis of this movie. It's a group of American scientists living in Antarctica stumble across an alien life form set on assimilating anyone or anything it comes across, breeding distrust amongst the group. That's my synopsis.
Among Us.
Among Us, yes. It's basic. Among Us was definitely like super like inspired by this.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
This was the OG Among Us.
I know. I watched this movie like back when Among Us was big, and I'm super into it. But
now I feel like playing Among Us.
Yeah, let's jump on right now.
We should
the viewers will love it. JP did it. I swear, it wasn't me.
I'm really bad. I feel like if I was an alien being an imposter, I would be really bad at it.
You're really bad at it.
I'd be really bad. I'm terrible at Among Us whenever I'm the imposter.
Yeah. I'd be definitely too suspicious. Everyone would suspect me, but maybe not. I don't know.
Who knows? We'll see.
We'll see. Whenever I acquire.
We gotta do the blood test.
All right, let's jump into our 5-pillar system. So we review movies using a 5-pillar system. So we give you the most objective score possible. We go over plot, characters, score, special effects, and cinematography. Rate them out of 10 and average that score. And then we give you our most objective score possible. So let's jump into our first pillar, which is the plot. Ding, ding, ding. So you basically start off with this dog running away from a bunch of people trying to shoot it. And it kind of plays with the audience because you're wondering, why are they shooting at this dog, first of all? But also it kind of steers you away from the suspicion that this dog is this evil creature, because everybody has this like relationship with dogs that is a pretty much positive thing. So you pretty much don't like the people shooting at the dog, or that's what the audience is meant to feel. But I don't know how you felt about it. But
well, doesn't it open with the spaceship?
Yeah, it does.
It opens up with the spaceship, and we just see like this UFO going towards Earth.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to the helicopter.
Yeah.
In Antarctica. So we know that it's an alien to begin with, or it's some extraterrestrial, as they say in Ancient Aliens, an extraterrestrial being.
Aliens.
But I really liked the establishing shots of Antarctica when they were filming the helicopter.
It's all desolate and icy and kind of hazy, but that's kind of expected in older films. But I think it was all like, I think every shot that they had, even if it was like hazy like that, I think it was meant to be that way. You know,
it sets up the setting for the plot very well, and And yeah, I tried watching The Thing years ago, and I watched like the first 15 minutes of it. So I know that I already knew that the dog was like evil.
Yeah.
So I kind of spoiled that for myself.
But
But
like
I
an
was watching it.
audience, an audience in like the 80s, like
Yeah.
would have been just, I don't know. They've never seen anything quite like that ever, I don't think. Thinking about the 80s, like any shape shifting type of creature.
Yeah.
I can't think of an older movie that's like that. So
Mm-mm.
you wouldn't think that this dog is just gonna
Right. I
like
was
that gruesome, grotesque creature. But yeah. So for an 80s audience member, that must have been like, why are they shooting at this dog?
Yeah, I was watching it with my girlfriend, and she knew nothing about this film at all. So she was like, "No, why are they trying to kill a dog?" And I was like, "Wait,
Exactly. I feel like that's how the
you
audience
don't
is
know
supposed
why?"
to be, just like kind
Yeah,
of tricked like that. Which is
it's a dog. It's innocent. I love
I,
dogs.
yeah,
So
it's the cutest dog ever.
and
It's not.
they really I felt like it really just threw you in there like really quickly,
Yeah.
because even when the dog goes to the base, the Norwegians just like start shooting. It doesn't. They don't care if they hit any of the researchers. They just want to kill the dog.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, okay, so we're just thrown into it,
Uh-huh.
and like crap hits the fan. It was intense. I really liked how John Carpenter was like, nope, we're not gonna waste
We're not
any
wasting
time.
any time.
Loved it.
That's
I loved it.
pretty great. So yeah, you have the dog is the dog is the imposter. Um and then it gets put in with the other dogs, like the real dogs, and the other dogs don't trust it. Like they start like barking at it, like how like normal like dogs can sense something's wrong with certain things, like such situations or people. So it senses something's wrong with this fake dog, and then it just starts assimilating them and grabbing them. Yeah, the
Oh man,
super gross, but
they're the camera places a big emphasis on the dog, because with like the camera spends a good portion filming the dog, so we know that there's like something's up. At least, or maybe that's just me because I was already spoiled the movie a little bit. But
yeah, it definitely puts an emphasis on the dog for sure.
so we know that something's up, and it has to do with the dog, but we didn't know what exactly was going on. Like we know, I like we know what do we know? We know there's an alien that has to do with it. Then there's people trying to shoot the dog, and that this dog is somewhat important, but we don't know like the actual like the actual thing that is going on. It develops very well.
Yeah. Do
Very
they go to
seamless.
the Norwegian? Do they go to the Norwegian base before the dog starts assimilating?
Yes,
Okay.
if I remember correctly.
So they see like some of the grotesque like when they burned the when the Norwegians had burned whoever got assimilated the thing. And I get and then they would have seen, I guess they also saw the spaceship in the ice and stuff before the dog started assimilating. So
what I really liked is that what these researchers do is all like super logical. Like it's like what I would do if I was there.
that's what I like about these older like horror films. Like let's say like Alien, everything they do is smart, but it ends up backfiring on them somehow. And I feel like horror movies these days, people do something stupid and they keep doing stupider things and they keep getting away with it or dying.
Yeah.
It's I enjoy a movie where the characters are doing something smart, but it doesn't work out for them, you know?
Yeah. Like they were like, we should go investigate the base of the Norwegians. I'm like, yeah, that's something I would have suggested. Like if the Norwegians know something's up, let's go investigate what's going on with them. They got all of their data, the research did, which led them to the spaceship. Like everything they did is like what I feel even a normal person would suggest, right?
Yeah.
Norwegians know something's going on. Why don't we go investigate the Norwegians? Yeah, that makes total sense. Let's go do that.
Yeah.
And then everything they do just leads up to the eventual, like battle or the Among Us portion.
Yeah. Who done it?
Which is really cool. Like I really, really, really like that.
I think Blair's the first one that kind of figures everything out. And then he decides, because they've already been exposed to this thing, he can't trust anybody, right? And so he just starts, does he start trying to destroy everything, or is he just like, stay away from me? And he's just like shooting at them or whatever.
He kind of goes.
He goes crazy.
I got the sense that he was panicking.
Yeah, he was definitely panicking. He was destroying certain.
Which I really like to see, because I think at this point they already saw the dog assimilate and like turn into this like disgusting creature.
Yeah.
The only gripe I had about all of that was that all of these researchers saw this monster and what it can do and how disgusting it was, and I never got the sense that any of them were panicking until later on.
Even since they're researchers, they weren't like super like curious about it either. Like
I don't know. Like if I saw a monster like that eating up dogs, I would freak out. Like I would have a panic attack.
Yeah.
I would have probably gotten simulated right there, because I would just be like, boom, done.
Hot in shock. Yeah, they all seem pretty like, oh, this is like a normal day in Antarctica. Burn this thing.
I mean, I felt the sense of urgency from them, because they were like, get over here. Like, we need to do something about it. But I didn't really get like they were fearful for it until later on, when they were like, who's the imposter?
Mm-hmm.
Which was like, I guess. So I mean, it was fine in that regard, and it wasn't until Blair kind of does his own little research that I think he does, like he puts it into a computer, and the computer tells him likelihood of someone being a simulator or being the imposter, or whatever, 75%.
That's another thing. Like in Alien, they had like the same kind of like, what are my odds? And it's like none.
Mm-hmm.
And the computer's like telling you that. But yeah, so Blair kind of gets locked up outside. Kind of a bad move in certain senses, but I don't know what else you're gonna do with someone like that.
You think is the imposter? I would have done the same thing.
I mean, there's not much you could do with somebody that's not really gonna help the situation. He's just gonna end up killing all of them, which in turn the beast would just freeze over, and then another group would come along and take them.
But one thing that we shouldn't overlook is, I don't know if this was before the dog scene or after. No, it was definitely before the dog scene. But we know that the dog went to someone's room.
Oh yeah.
And we just saw the silhouette of the person, and we don't know who it was.
Yeah.
So we know that someone is a thing. Or that someone was assimilated, but we have no idea. And I think I was reading, because I was watching some videos about the movie. They were saying that not even any of the actors knew like who it actually was.
That's crazy.
So I was reading that some people think that John Carpenter got like another person to film the scene that wasn't part of the actual like actors. Which would have been, if that's true, I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because like none of the actors know, like, oh my gosh, who is it? Me? Like, who actually is it? Kind of like keeps real world suspense into the movie, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the one thing that does hurt, well, I guess it doesn't really hurt, but the one thing that I was like, is that when exactly does everyone does each person get assimilated? Because we don't know who it was at first.
Yeah.
We know that Blair, spoilers, but we know that Blair eventually is the thing at the very end.
Yeah. But that happens to Blair like later on, because I think there's Blair for a little while out there.
I think Blair was Blair when he's freaking out, and then when they move him,
Well, once he started being like, "Oh, let me come inside, guys. I'll be
yeah,
fine."
and
That's
there was a noose. There was a noose there.
yeah.
So I think I think he was planning on killing himself.
You know, he might have even killed himself, and then the thing could have like assimilated him.
That's true. Actually, I didn't. I
Can
didn't
he
even
can
think
it
about it.
assimilate a dead person?
I think so because all it needs is cells. Oh, but if you're dead, do cells even?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Interesting. Interesting. I don't know. We'll have to research that. The
But yeah,
plot overall, I feel was very straightforward.
Yeah, it was definitely straightforward.
Very simple, but very very effective. And I think it has to do a lot with the acting and and just how each character's decision impacts the plot.
Yeah, and they're all making like logical decisions.
Oh,
I think one of my favorite scenes is the blood test scene.
yeah.
When they have like they take everybody's blood and they're all tied up, and so yeah, they're just like poking the blood samples with what a hot copper wire or whatever or something.
Yeah.
Like that. And the thing is supposed to react to that because it's all one organism basically, and if one little part of it's attacked, it like freaks out. So yeah, but what I didn't understand, he kept like going through, like he let one person loose or whatever to once he tested their blood to take man of the flamethrower, but he just left everyone else tied up to the thing while he was testing the other blood samples. But yeah, that was a super intense scene. Super smart. And yeah, I enjoyed that part.
What's really cool is that we don't really know a lot about this alien. We know that it mimics people, that it simulates, but we don't know like how it operates, like its psychology. Like I was talking to my girlfriend, I was like, dude, it's so simple to beat it. Like just ask people like personal questions that only they would know. Like in Marvel with the scrolls, or like in like video games, I'm pretty sure. I was like, dude, this is so easy. Just ask questions. But we don't know if like during the assimilation process,
if it could like get their memory.
Exactly. Exactly. So we don't like, I was like, so easy. And then she was like, but we don't know if it takes the memories. And I'm like, crap, you're right. We really don't know. And it's that sense of not knowing the full power, I guess, of this alien that just makes it really hard to.
But I guess they didn't test that theory, you know. If they tested that theory and it proved to be wrong, like that would have been even.
Yeah. That's why I think I thought I was so smart. I was like, I'm so smart, I can beat it. Yeah. But I feel like it would have been a fatal flaw because we don't know to what extent it can assimilate. So I think the test scene was ultimately the smarter decision in the end, and it was a really really good scene, especially the effects of the head and everything, which we'll get to later. But yeah.
Yeah, so then eventually you don't know who to trust in the movie because MacReady is kind of framed by the thing, but you don't know, like you don't 100%.
We don't know if it was framed.
Yeah, you're just like, who do I trust anymore? I like you become one of them. Like I don't know who to trust because you're kind of just trusting MacReady the whole time up until
there's a lot of really cool like social psychology. In every group, there is like roles that we assign without even thinking about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so in a time of crisis, someone naturally takes up the mantle of like the leader or the one that makes the decisions. Yeah. Because MacReady isn't established as the main protagonist in the beginning. Like we're just showed him, we're showed the other crew members. We know like what more or less what each crew member does. And then eventually, very naturally, MacReady just rises up as the person that's calling the shots.
Because the people with like there's that sheriff guy or with the gun.
Mm-hmm.
You think that whoever has the gun is gonna basically be the leader person. But I guess he decided that he wasn't like fit for the job and kind of just naturally went to MacReady, like you were saying. But yeah, it was a crazy situation. Like you don't know who to trust, and at that point, like I don't know what I would do. Like like you kind of have to accept that you may not be able to get out. Like I don't know, it might be like worth it just to destroy this beast once and for all, just to like everyone makes basically like a suicide pact, and you basically all get around like I don't know something to explode, and you just all explode together. But I mean that's I don't know. I wouldn't want to die, but I don't know. That might be the best way to handle it.
Yeah.
Because you can't expect other people to just die while you don't.
Right.
Here,
I
can
really
we
liked
because I know I'm right.
I really liked how the setting also helped the plot too.
Yeah, you could like it was
The sense of
stormy outside. You
isolation.
couldn't see what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That sense of like isolation and confinement.
you
I
couldn't
feel really
you couldn't
pushed.
run away from it or you die because you just freeze to death.
Yeah.
I think the helicopter was
Was destroyed by a Blair.
Blair. Freaking Blair. I mean, smart move for Blair. He knew what he had to do. But so then the beast couldn't escape, but because the main goal at that point was to make sure that the thing didn't make it back to civilization.
Right.
Because that would have been super bad.
That would have been very, very, very bad.
Which at the end, who knows if it eventually did, because it ended like
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. I have thoughts about it.
You
I definitely have some
thoughts. So yeah, they end up basically deciding to blow up the whole place.
And blow up each other.
As one naturally does. Blow up everything. Blair is basically the thing at this point. I think they stopped everything else. But
it was also Blair was also trying to build the ship.
Oh yeah, he was.
Which was really interesting.
Underneath the ice. And he was getting pretty close, it looked like.
Pretty close, yeah. It was pretty small though.
Yeah,
I was gonna do it, but we do know that this thing can like take up different shapes pretty seamlessly.
Yeah, like different alien shapes and stuff. And you see that spider thing, and you see those little squiggly wigglies.
Yeah, like we don't really know like what its actual like form is, like what its natural.
It's like the boggart from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Don't know what it actually
really interesting. Really interesting concept. And it's really cool that this was based off a short story. And then later translated to another movie in like the 50s or 30s. I don't know. Between the 30s and 50s. I'm a little tired, so I'm just like, but this movie was really good. The plot, I feel what I really liked about how the story flowed. There was a scene when Bennings gets assimilated and he gets killed, and we see Bennings walking outside, and they're like, "It's got Bennings." And Bennings, we see like the thing as Bennings, but it's like not all the way complete, and it's like,
yeah. And like that little hand thing, right?
Yeah, I loved it. It was like terror. Like
yeah, like I can't imagine like the first time somebody like in the 80s, like just having like some guy like screaming like that.
It was so good. Yeah. But I remember when they caught Bennings and they burned it, there were still like 10 crewmates there. There was like a lot of people. Yeah. I was like, there's so many people. I thought to myself, it's going to be so obvious to see how someone is going to get killed.
But I think when they were doing the blood test scene, the one person didn't suspect was the person that was the thing, you know?
Right.
Like I thought it was the guy who took care of the dogs. I forgot who his name was. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was him. And then he got shot and died instantly. So wasn't him.
I just didn't think about it like that. Yeah.
I don't know. Who did you think it was at that point?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I did really like how each person kind of died seamlessly, and like it flowed very well to the point where there was two people left, like with Knowles and then McCready. Because at that point, I thought Childs was dead. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, so it's just McCready, and then Childs shows up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
everyone died so seamlessly, and it wasn't like too obvious or too like
Who was it?
forced.
Who was it that wandered off at the end? Was it Knowles or something like that?
Yeah,
Yeah, he just
it's like
walked off.
why?
Yeah,
It's
he
like
just
why do you do that?
yeah, stay close to the group. Safety in numbers. But no, he just wanders off and gets himself assimilated.
And we assume that he dies off screen.
Yeah. And then so yeah. Then you're left with Childs and McCready at the end, and you think that McCready is the actual McCready. You're not 100% sure, I guess. But Childs is even more suspicious because he just walks out of nowhere and sits down, has a conversation with McCready.
What's interesting is that again, going back to like the actual, like, we don't know the full extent of this thing's power, is that we don't know if this alien thing is a social creature, or if it doesn't cooperate. Like, does it cooperate with other things, or is it willing to kill other things so that it can remain undetected and then multiply?
Mm-hmm.
So like I was watching some videos, and one person pointed out that McCready could have been the thing this entire time, but was trying so hard not to
Have other things.
Yeah.
That
So
would
that way,
that's
it can
interesting.
survive.
Oh my gosh.
But I don't
It
know.
goes deep.
But yeah, but the things we don't know, like it could have been framed. McCready could have been the thing, and then
And like they both could have been the thing, and they're just having a conversation for the audience's benefit, or they're just both themselves, or one of them's
the thing.
Um,
Actually, I never considered both of them being the thing. I always kind of just thought of it as like either they're not the thing or one of them
yeah.
the thing.
Either way, they're gonna freeze to death.
I feel like McCready was real.
Yeah, that's how I feel like they. I don't know. I wanted to be that they defeated the thing, but I don't know.
And I feel like Childs was also not the thing.
That's how I wanted to be, you know.
But my thing is like, you know how when what's the doctor's name?
Blair.
Blair. When Blair kind of snuck up on Jerry and like really quickly was just like assimilating him in his hand. Like, I feel like if Childs was the thing, he would have attacked McCready like
I
right
don't
then
think
and there.
Childs was the thing at that point, but the fact that Childs disappeared for I don't know how long in the movie, he just like disappeared for a good 15 minutes of the movie, and then he shows up at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of suspicious.
I don't know, because
Kind of sus. I vote him out.
Because I feel like McCready was like super weakened. He was really tired. He was freezing. He was so vulnerable to an attack. I feel like if Childs was a thing, he would have taken the opportunity to just assimilate him right then and there.
Or, you know, I mean that is a good point, but the thing knows it's gonna freeze, and I don't know.
I don't know. Well, we're going off topic. Back to the plot.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was it's even relevant in today's world, just like with the coronavirus. Like everyone doesn't really trust another person just because they might have the coronavirus.
It's true, and
a mask. And
in the beginning, coronavirus was you were able to have it without having any symptoms. You were like able to be asymptomatic, which was interesting because like you never knew who had it.
Yeah.
It didn't develop symptoms until later on. Some people develop symptoms pretty fast, but not everyone.
Yeah. So I thought I think it's a relevant movie to watch today, just with everything going on. It's still like, even if it wasn't relevant, it's still a great film just to watch.
Yeah, I don't know what the critics at that time were
I
smoking.
don't. Yeah, they didn't know what they were thinking. So, what did you give plot overall?
I give the plot an 8.
An 8. I gave it an 8.5.
I give it an 8.
It's a pretty solid plot.
Very. It's.
It
I just
doesn't
love
do
it when things
anything
are simple.
super crazy, but I mean, at the same time, it does. I think the ending's like kind of like mind-boggling. Yeah.
It flowed. It flowed so well. It flowed so naturally. Like nothing felt forced.
Yeah.
Like everything made sense.
Uh-huh.
Everyone died.
Left you on a cliffhanger. Everyone died. Like even
Like everyone died, and you didn't even notice.
Yeah, they had the two last standing people, but like you know that they died because they would have frozen to death.
Yeah, everyone who was dying up to that point, like I said, it didn't feel forced. I was worried that I was going to notice the deaths, but like I was just so engrossed in the movie that it was like, okay, oh my god, someone died, and oh, this guy dies, and then all of a sudden you're just left with 2, and I'm like, wait a minute, how did we get up here again?
Yeah,
Oh, like why
had so
everything?
many people. What happened?
Yeah, it was great. It was so simple, so effective. Um, yeah, it was just great plot. I loved it.
I agree. So let's move on to characters. They didn't spend a huge amount of time like going into their different backgrounds, but you could tell that they have their own unique kind of like what's the word? I don't know. Like place in this community of people.
And it's very subtle. It's subtle. Like you really had to like pay attention.
Yeah, it's subtle. It's like a subtle characterization, but it's like they're all their own unique person, and you kind of don't want to go into their backgrounds in a movie like this because you want to breed like distrust from the audience on each one.
Yeah.
If you don't really know who they are, then you're not fully supporting every single one of them. Like if you had a background on everybody and you like knew about what drove them, like you wouldn't like necessarily you would want to trust all of them, you know, but since you didn't really know them, you kind of didn't trust any of them, you know.
It was easier for you to disconnect and like kind of be in that situation.
Yeah, but they had they had enough characterization where you were you cared about the characters, but you didn't necessarily trust them. So I think they did that very well.
I agree. I actually didn't see it like that. That's actually a really good point. Because the whole time I was like, oh, I like this character, but if I was there, I probably would have him killed too.
Yeah, like you probably would have had them all killed. I didn't trust any of them.
Yeah, yeah. There was like clues here and there, and like very subtle actions that kind of revealed portions of like who these people were. Like for example, Clark, when they told him to put the dog thing in the kennel.
Yeah,
you could tell that he like in a way related to the dogs.
Yeah,
that he was kind of the loner of the group.
Yeah.
So there you kind of it reveals certain aspects of who he is. Like like loner. He probably relates to dogs more.
About it. They just brush past it. You get a sense of the character.
Right. And McCready when he pours water into the chess computer, I kind of got the sense that he's someone who doesn't like to lose.
Yeah.
He'll do whatever it takes to win.
Yeah.
Windows, when he's smoking the blunt, the marijuana and passes it, we can tell he's like more aloof, real chill.
You have these subtle things that are pretty easy to pick up on, but you don't really think about
it too much. Nulls with the roller skates, like you can kind of get a sense that he's like energetic, probably fun, nice guy.
Nice guy.
I mean, he looked like a nice guy.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just all these little things that, like you said, that are easy to look past, but that end up saying so much about that person too.
It also just who they casted for each role, kind of like how they looked, kind of helped characterize them just in that, like some of them looked harder, some of them looked nicer,
Yeah, right.
I guess more. Yeah, so yeah, just that also helped characterize them as well.
I know that this movie is horror. It's a horror movie. It's not a drama or a character piece. But I feel like it did so much to build characters, or build character than most other dramas or just regular movies. Like it's pretty insane, like how John Carpenter was able to
build these
pull up,
characters that
yeah,
you
so
cared about.
subtly.
Yeah, socially, and you cared about, but also didn't trust.
Mhm.
So he did that really well.
I mean, there could have been more, right? There could always be more, but
yeah,
but it was good.
but I think it was the appropriate amount for this movie. Maybe I would have wanted a little bit more, but maybe that would have affected how I trusted them.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, you got some of the main ones. Kirk Russell played MacReady. Keith David played Childs. Oh, Wilford Brimley played Blair. Those are some of like the main ones. But there's a lot of different characters.
There's a lot of them.
I won't go into all of them, but those are three of the main. So yeah, what did you give characters?
I gave characters a 7.5.
7.5. I gave it an 8. Seems like we're like 0.5 off from each other, each one, but yeah. I guess I never we didn't have a necessarily we didn't talk about how we were going to rate them all, like what is an average score to us and what is not. I guess like I kind of do it how the grading system does it, like a
70s average.
Yeah. That's kind of what I do. I guess I don't know. That's what I do. But like midpoint 5 and 6 could also be sort of
average. Yeah, to me 5 is like average. It's like okay. Yeah. And then 6 is like okay.
Yeah.
7 is like okay. 8 is like okay.
Yeah.
9 is like okay.
Okay.
And 10 is like oh. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. Maybe we should, for our next video, I guess I'll more clear, but for this one we'll just keep going with how we got. All right. So let's go into score. Super creepy, grotesque, makes the hairs on the back of your neck stick up. But
so apparently John Carpenter did his own score for this movie.
Did his own score? I didn't know that.
Let me look it up real quick. I have
that up, but that's crazy if he did. But yeah, I really fit the bill.
Because I was watching this video about the thing, and they said that he had originally asked Ennio Morricone, who's done scores for like all the spaghetti westerns. So Ennio Morricone and John Carpenter like collaborated on the score. So it was both
crazy that they did that. Like, props on John Carpenter.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't one of those scores that stood out like anything super special, but it definitely did its job to enhance the creepiness of this film, the horror aspects. So, what did you think?
I thought the score was good. I actually thought it was pretty great. It definitely gave me really creepy vibes. I love the synth, in the beginning, and just the fact that John Carpenter and Ennio Morricone like did it together just overall makes it that much better for me. I actually forgot to put the score on this one.
Got to score.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Well, I personally gave it a 7.5.
I gave it a 7.
Okay. Yeah.
I give it a 7. I thought it was good. Very creepy. Like it kind of crawled under your skin a little bit.
Yeah, like there's like I was listening to it last night, and it was like had that, I don't know, it was like really like I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, definitely crawl underneath your skin at certain points. I was like,
You're right.
I was like, this is just giving me the creeps.
Yeah, but you're right. Like it didn't like it wasn't something that was so iconic that I was singing after, like singing it or humming it afterwards,
or even like thinking about it.
Yeah,
but it did its job.
It did a really good job too. It did a great job.
It did what it needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Made you feel what you needed to feel, and that's the point of a good score.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so let's move into special effects. This is going to be a great one for this movie because they have so many great practical effects, very grotesque, gory. Sometimes you just like you don't want to look how gross it is, but like even today, like 2021, like it's super gross to look at, but you still like you can't help but watch it. It's there, and I don't know, you just feel disgusted watching it, and it's great.
I'm a huge fan of practical effects. I love practical effects. I think movies nowadays should incorporate or try to incorporate more practical effects into the films because sometimes CGI just doesn't do it. Sometimes it does. Like sometimes CGI obviously just makes sense and it's great.
Yeah,
but
if they had like a mix of those two, CGI when needed and then practical when needed.
Yeah, like that's what they did in the Witcher show on Netflix. There was a fight scene, or spoilers for The Witcher, but there's a fight scene for between Geralt and this monster, and the monster was a mix of VFX and practical, which was great. Another movie that I recommend if you're a huge fan of like body horror practical effects that we should probably watch and review too. It's called The Void. I think it's on Netflix, but The Void is like practical effects heavy. It's like an indie body horror film that's like really under the radar and it is so good.
Okay.
You could tell that in this movie, some of it was like animatronics and like obviously like it wasn't real, but just the fact that it was like tangible, like you felt like you could touch it.
It just made it that much grosser, you know?
Yeah, it was great.
I loved them. It just beats a lot of the effects that they have like today, even though you could sort of tell it's fake at times, but I don't know. It did really well. I think they did like stop motion for some of the things, like that little spider thing.
That makes sense. I mean, it was great.
Stands the test of time for sure.
The creativity that they had to put into making,
like every single thing, like it's something that you've never seen before. Even in today's standards, it's like I don't know. Like
they went hard, dude. They went hard on these effects and showed.
There was that one scene where I guess that one doctor like was doing compressions and then his hand fell into the stomach, and then I guess they started burning him and his head started melting or whatever. They did that. They actually explained this in Stranger Things. If you rewatch like the first season, like when his head's like melting off, it's like bubble gum. That's how they kind of do that effect. So interesting stuff there.
So creative, dude. That's amazing. The only part that really threw me off was when they're doing the blood test and they find out that it was that person. I forgot who it was, and then Windows is like he just froze. Windows was not responding.
Yeah.
And then the thing assimilates him and is like moving his body around. You can tell it was a doll.
Yeah. I remember that.
That was the only thing that threw me off, but I thought it was funny. I was like, the 80s, gotta love them.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, they had practical explosions. Other than that, and everything else was this movie was very tangible and really grounded you in the movie, I think.
I agree.
So yeah, what did you end up giving special effects?
Oh, I give special effects a 9.
Hey, we got a score I gave it 9 as well. So
9.
Twins
for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Only reason it didn't get a 10 for me was just because of its aging, but like
Yeah.
it aged pretty well in my book. But
Yeah, definitely.
but back then, like that would probably be like perfect effects, you know?
If you pranked me with one of those animatronics, I would literally shit my pants. I literally would.
Yeah, for real, like super gross. So let's go ahead and move on to cinematography.
Ugh, the
What?
cinematography for this movie is it's
Yeah.
so good.
Everything that was shot to look like it. When people walked outside and it was super like confusing what was going on, it was done that was done for a reason, because you weren't supposed to really know what was going on, just because you didn't want to like basically break that illusion that you may not be able to trust this person later on because you don't know what's going on outside, you know.
Well, that and like one of the biggest barriers for me in watching older movies is just like the way they look. Like movies from the 80s and 70s, they just look really grainy,
Yeah,
etc.
great.
And
Yeah.
I'm just like, it kind of turns me off. This movie looks like it was shot in like late 90s, early 2000s. Like if I didn't know it was an 80s movie, I would have thought, oh wow, so like yeah, like the 90s, right? Like pretty crazy. This movie looks like it was recent. Like it was recent. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. It just breaks my heart that nobody, like, it didn't like take off when it first was like out, and when it first came out, like people didn't like it.
that happens with art sometimes.
I know, but
I'm glad it's getting the appreciation it deserves because yeah, this movie looks so crisp. I'm not sure what I'm. They were discussing in the video that I watched like a certain aspect ratio that it was shot on, the type of camera that it was shot on, but it literally looks like it was made in like the late 90s.
mm-hmm.
It looks fantastic. Maybe early 2000s. Um,
Do you have a favorite like shot?
Probably one of my favorite shots are when it's shot outside.
Uh-huh.
And John Carpenter does a really good job of contrasting a really deep blue with the red from the flare.
Yeah, I was about to explain, like, this was my favorite shot.
Oh,
It's so good. Like, I love that red glow. It's just really great. And
with
it's,
that really deep blue that's like almost
yeah,
purplish.
yeah, just from like
Oh,
the ice. Yeah, that's a great shot. Like,
it's
cinematic.
it's any shot outside was amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and there's like these lens flares throughout the movie. From the lights, you get like this flare that just added a little bit more depth to the movie that I really liked. I mean, I'm just a huge fan of lens flares. I think it just looks
J.J.
neat.
Abrams over here.
Yeah, yeah. I just think they look neat. They definitely add more to the environment.
A subtle lens flare here and there. Nothing like J.J. Abrams like in Star Trek, where it's like taking over the whole screen.
Right. The only gripe I had with I don't know, I'm not even sure if this is cinematography, but just like the transitions between scenes at times was like very 80s, and I was like, okay, like I feel like this could have been transitioned a little bit better, but like it's fine.
But you know,
Uh,
they were it was the technology of the time.
of course, of course. The movie was shot so beautifully. Like I felt like every shot had purpose.
Yeah, there wasn't a waste of a shot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For sure. Like, this movie, it was a compact movie, gave you what you needed to see, and delivered real well.
Absolutely.
What'd you give cinematography overall?
I give it a 9.
A 9. I gave it an 8, but yeah, it's been a minute since I watched it, so
I
it's
watched it this past
not
Monday.
fresh in my head.
Mm.
It's kind of hard to like find it to watch it, or else I would have probably watched it. I don't know, whenever I watched it, I rented it, so everything
Oh, okay.
everything else you have to like buy to watch it. So I was like, I remember it pretty well, so let's go off of that. But yeah, so cinematography was pretty good. I remember some things like the like that one scene that I just put up on the screen, That was my favorite shot. I think that was like the one thing that's it like stood it like even stands out to me like now after like I think I watched it like back in October, so it's been a couple months. So that still stuck out to me. So if a scene could stick out to me like that, like after a couple months, then
you know it's good. Yeah, any scene the shot outside for me was my favorite. I just loved it when the camera was outside.
So what was your overall score?
My overall score was a 40.
So
oh wait, you have to you get the aggregate and you divide it, right?
It was an 8 for you.
It was an 8, yeah.
Yeah. So mine was an 8.2, making our average score, you guessed it, 8.1.
Which is roughly the same. I feel like an 8 is definitely deserving.
Yeah.
Or this movie is definitely deserving of an 8. Maybe?
It's definitely above average. Definitely really solid. Yeah.
For an 80s movie that, with the technology of its time, it's amazing. It's literally amazing.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump into our meme corner. The meme corner.
I only have 2. I only have 2 memes.
You go first.
Okay. Let me share my screen. Well, hey, let me pull it up and then I'll share my screen. Okay.
Awkward silence. Crickets chirping.
Screen share. Oh, host disabled participant screen sharing.
What did I do? Okay, there. It worked now. Right?
Windows, blast it. Windows is not responding. Oh, Windows.
You versus the guy she told you not to worry about.
And there was this one.
No. Take that smile.
I think that's pretty much all the ones that I found. I wonder if there's another one. Yeah. Is that it? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Those are the only ones I found.
Okay.
I keep forgetting that we have a meme corner.
Yeah. It's fine.
So I need to have them beforehand. Definitely.
It's cool. I looked them up like last night, so.
Okay.
All right.
Let me see yours.
Let me screen share. All right. So we got, how does the COVID-19 pandemic end? 2 of us in the Arctic, and we're not sure which one is infected. Pretty. How did I? There's only one real test for the coronavirus. Sounds pretty good.
You stick a couple of wire up your nose.
That would suck. Has to be hot too. Burn right through the flesh. All of mine are pretty much coronavirus related.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. Definite parallels. Coronavirus spreads to Antarctic research station, and he's about to blow him up. Has that great scene. We were kind of touching on this earlier. John Carpenter, after releasing The Thing in 1982. I guess you guys weren't ready for that, but your kids are going to love it.
Absolutely.
I loved it. Crewmate, there's one imposter among us.
I feel like playing Among Us now. We should do like a gaming section in this channel.
Ooh, we should. We'll play Among Us. We'll play a game that like relates to the movie. So here we are at the end of our review. You got your most objective score possible, 8.1 for The Thing. Go check it out if you haven't, because it's great. If you have seen it, welcome to the club of seeing it. I don't know.
That should be your outro. Welcome to the club of watching the movie.
I'm watching it. It's great. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. Hopefully we didn't spoil anything too bad if you just decided to watch this review before you seen the movie, but you're gonna love it. So we'll catch you guys next week when we review another movie. Thank you to our distinguished guest, Juan Pablo.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Come back next week. You could be a host. If you
I want to be a regular.
Yeah. I'm happy to have you.
Okay, let's do
it. We'll catch you guys later. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Like us, ring that bell. Have a good week, guys.